There truly is no right or wrong one specific way for each of us to experience abundance or success or whatever feels good. There are so many freaking pathways, and you will find your groove when you just
Hello, family. Welcome in.
greetings. Remember the first ever episode?
Yeah, let's do that
when we
again.
harmonized. Oh my god.
Greetings. Oh, harmonized.
Greetings.
Greetings. I always imagine a little alien dude popping up being like, hey, greetings.
Hello, Earthling.
All
I
right,
come in
guys,
peace.
welcome in. While you're here, we need to inform you on an epic event going down this Thursday, March 27th. We are hosting a live event for you, for all the Omis out there. And it is fucking epic, I must say. What the live event is a clarity activation. Think about our quantum clarity activation meditation, but ramped up even more. Because we're going to be tapped into a collective energy together, doing it together. It's going to be fucking insane. And this really is for you to receive the next step that your soul has waiting for you on a silver platter within your own being. And the mind is over here thinking about this whole A to Z plan that you need to have in place in order to do the thing, but you don't need that. All you need is to listen to your soul. So we have created this beautiful container for you to just receive and listen to the callings of your soul. And you're going to feel like this aha light bulb moment of, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So that is this Thursday. It's at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. East Coast time. And I don't know what time that is in European time. I'm not even sure. Maybe you guys will catch the replay. If you do sign up, you get access to the replay. But I will say that you do want to be there live because we are going to be releasing something very special to the live attendees. So I will put that there. We'll put the link below that you guys can go check out the event and put your name and your email in, and then you can get your free ticket. Just to repeat, that is Thursday, March 27th at 5 PST, 8 EST. And now let's get into the episode. Today, we are dropping you guys into our own personal journeys. We have been going through our own awakenings, realizations, and today we are dropping you into two each. We're both going to share two like big revelations, realizations, awakenings that we've been experiencing. And it's really important for us to be very authentic and real as we are on our own journey. That's like an ethos of what we do within the world of Om. We're not above, better. It's not that at all. We are literally humans just like you, navigating this journey of life just like you. And yes, we also have our gifts. We also have our things that we're authorities in, but we also are humans navigating this journey as well. All right, so I'll kick us off with something that has been really just a continuous part of my journey in all phases of my life. And it connects with this feeling of self-sabotage, which is actually self-protection. And it also connects in with listening to your intuition and this world of expanding and doing things out of your comfort zone. And then you want to self-soothe, but you're not listening to your intuition. And I just always have this beautiful, I wouldn't call it like, it's a spiral. I'm always going upward and seeing it from a higher perspective. So it is nothing like what I used to experience when I was younger, where I would do something out of my comfort zone and then I would want to like self-soothe and pull myself back into what was familiar. But now I am getting even more in tune when I'm in those expansion periods. My ego starts to rage. It wants to pull me back in the familiar. And I can literally hear, in the moments it's pretty hard to hear, but now looking back, it actually was there. My intuition was speaking to me. But I have these moments where I'm like at a choice point, whether it's like what to eat for dinner or to go on a walk or just sit in my office and take like a 10-minute break on my phone instead. These like
Mhm.
little moments where I was choosing the comfortable thing that wasn't actually soul nourishing. In the moment, you're like, whatever, this is fine. But then over time, you start to find yourself back in the familiar patterns where you feel yourself contracting because of the compound effect of the habits and the choices that you're making aren't the soul nourishing ones. And then it takes me like a few weeks and I'm like, oh shit, I was in an expansion period. I was self soothing in ways that maybe I thought was best for me at the time. And now I'm looking back in hindsight and I'm noticing these little points where my intuition was speaking to me and I was ignoring it. Because when you're in that expanded state, you want to seek comfort because your nervous system is expanding. Your ego is in a state of almost like trying to survive. And it's like a state of self preservation. And when you're in that state, it is so important to be even more tapped in, like even more tapped into your meditation practice and being out in nature and grounding in the ways that your soul actually wants you to ground. And I'm not saying never watch TV or never order Chinese takeout. That's not what I'm saying, but notice when I was noticing, I'll speak for myself. I'm now noticing when I'm leaning into those things in excess to get
Mm.
the goal of self-soothing myself. And I'm just picking up on this really beautiful connection I have to my intuition that is literally always guiding me. And I feel like this is where the next level of embodiment and expansion really comes into place is when you're in those really uncomfortable, stretchy periods and you self soothe with the things that feel stretchy to initiate, but then they feel soul nourishing once you're in them. And I do this in my life, but now I'm at like the next level of doing it where I can see the whole path that I've been on in my life has been this beautiful spiral staircase. And I've learned to not hold any shame or think that I'm weak or not capable just because I'm revisiting a pattern. I'm now seeing the divinity of how beautiful it is that I'm always seeing it with this higher awareness. And I can feel that there's a frustration that comes in, but then it's met with this compassion and understanding that wasn't there in the beginning. And it allows me to just see the experience for what it is and pick up the wisdom, pick up the data, look back at the past and see all those moments where my intuition was speaking to me. And I'm forming such a beautiful bond to my with my intuition through contrasting experiences and then also experiences that do feel in alignment. And when I say contrast experience, I'm just saying like a misaligned experience. And I'm recognizing that it's like the journey of both of those where I'm picking up that connection to my intuition at such a beautiful level. And I've learned to appreciate that journey of learning and also know that it's not a permanent thing that you always have to learn through contrast, but that's
Mm.
just what I have experienced in the past, I would say 3 weeks. I've been in like the contrast of feeling a little bit out of alignment, but it's to no degree that I used to be out of alignment when I was like 25, 27. It's like these subtle energetic things that are just wanting to be fine tuned. So this connection to my intuition, I feel like is growing so much. And I just want to pass along the message to anyone who feels like they experience contrast or they feel as if they go into self soothing or self sabotaging habits, that it is okay. And it's a sacred part of the journey where you're learning about what your soul actually needs and wants. And sometimes it takes dipping into the contrast to actually know that.
Wow, yeah. So do you feel it's kind of like where you start to have more grace for yourself, right, in those periods, because you're also understanding what, the ego or whatever part of you was seeking through the, let's call them like non-productive self-soothing techniques. And so you have grace for that because it's just, it's like it's innocent, right, at the end of the day, or it's happening subconsciously because we're not picking up on it until then. You kind of like the cost adds up of like what it's costing you, and that acts as like a beautiful, this is the contrast of seeing, almost you're seeing like the, not the will, but when the cost becomes too great, it's a very beautiful moment that your soul almost strengthens to come in and be like, now we are going to be even more dedicated to our intuition.
Right.
And I think this is actually happening very collectively. I remember, I think it was last year's energy reading on the podcast that we did, how things quicken and you see the effects of things faster.
Yes.
So you see the misalignment very quickly and you see the cost of not listening to your intuition or whatever. And it's not saying that to like cause shame. It's just like you're just seeing the effect. And
Right.
now your relationship to observing the effect that it's having, you're doing that with grace so that you transform and evolve that much quicker.
Right. I relate to what you're saying so deeply. That really resonates with me where you see the effects of it. It's not, some things are immediate, as in that day you can feel it. But I think what you're connecting to is it's like this quickness of experiencing the misalignment of the compounding choices that happens, like it's a buildup, but then you experience it very in your face in a way where you're like, holy crap, this is
Right.
black and white to how I was experiencing my energy maybe last week, 2 weeks ago. But then you look back and you can kind of see the buildup of it. And this is definitely like very, I feel my ego right now being like, oh, you're sharing too much, like you're being too vulnerable. But then this is a very real experience that so many people have. And I feel like being having a 3 in my profile, a part of
Mm.
my journey is to kind of go and just experience life and to pick up that data from it. And I just learned so
Yeah.
much about myself through the act of just like doing the thing and then picking up the information from it. And the
Yeah.
thing that I want to share with you guys is when we are on this journey of expanding into higher timelines or taking actions that feel stretchy and scary, it is so important that we are maintaining that state of awareness because it's very easy for the ego to come in and almost like hypnotize you
Mm.
into thinking that you need to like retreat backwards or stay safe, or it's not safe to go be that big or be that successful. Retreat backwards. And the awareness around that is what allows you to say, hey, I think this is now time for me to go on a hike, for me to put my feet in the ground and to receive some neutralizing energy, for me to just calm my nervous system, to do some breath work. And that is such an important part of the expansion because then you can actually
Mm.
continue to expand and it doesn't feel like there's this constant in out back forth that feels so dramatic. A lot of that is on the foundation of a subconscious program that it's not safe to either take leaps, it's not safe to be you, it's not safe to have success. Like there's a lot of subconscious programs that can make an ego react with pulling back into familiar patterns. So just be
Mm.
really conscious and aware and know that you are such a powerful being that can literally do anything. And it's just that constant dance with your ego and the soul that's going to guide you. And you're always right where you're meant to be. So definitely a beautiful learning journey that I'm on where I'm like, oh, that's what my intuition sounds like. That's where it is.
Right. Yeah. I wanted to ask you a follow up question. How can someone discern the difference between, basically what you're describing is how the ego is tricky, kind of a trickster sometimes, and pulls us back into an old way of being, an old state or whatever, or because it's afraid of success, afraid of whatever. How do people discern when they are doing a behavior or shifting or just choosing something from that place where it's self-soothing or self-protection, self-sabotage, or it's actually just aligned? You know what I mean? Like, how do people tell the difference between when a choice or an action or a behavior or what state of being is, I guess it's basically ego versus soul, but what's that, you know what I mean? What does that specifically look like? How do you discern if it's, oh, this is your ego protecting you, or no, this is actually just more aligned for you?
I feel like it's all about the energy behind it. And the key here is that sometimes we're in such a activated state that we're not even in tune with the energy. And that is why we become reactive, where we're just, oh, let me just do this. And so for me personally, I'm looking back on those moments and being able to collect a lot of information, because now I'm seeing, oh, there actually was like a really beautiful choice point for me right here, where I think now moving forward, I would choose this. So I just want to say, like, give yourself grace if uh, when you're in those states, it's kind of hard to see, because you're
Right.
clouded by the ego's fears and thoughts. And I would say that it's really important to maybe stop. And this is something that I am actively bringing into my journey of seeing where I can be less reactive and more responsive. And it really does start with regulating yourself and then tuning into the energy that is behind the action. And
Mm.
sometimes you got to go through it and then you collect the data, because
Yeah.
maybe you're in a moment where you react and then you don't even have the time to reflect on it. Or maybe you're out to dinner and your soul is craving this nourishing, hearty meal, and maybe you don't order that meal and you order something else. Maybe in that moment, just taking almost like a little mindfulness moment to really check in with yourself, and you can feel it. I think this is what I'm really learning and tapping into even more. I do this so intentionally when I'm sitting on my couch meditating, when I'm in client sessions, when I'm doing work. But then there's these moments in my life where I'm being called to tie that in even more.
Mm.
And I feel like it's dropping into the body, regulating yourself in a moment, and feeling the energy that is behind something. And if it's fear, lean in even more. And I will say that sometimes you just have to do it to learn. And that's
Yeah.
what my biggest takeaway with this whole journey is that I'm actually learning through my whole life experience on what that is, if it's ego or if it's soul. And I can look back at my journey and be like, wow, you learned so much from when you were 25 years old, thinking that was a decision you actually wanted. And now it's like the process doesn't stop. It just
Mm.
continues to refine and get more detailed and particular with where it is you're making decisions, because the choices you're making now are just different. Like, it's a different game you're playing in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a theme of, this is related to what I'll share later, but it's like a theme to just trust that wherever you're at and whatever actions, behaviors are coming out of you, they're perfect. Because, like you're saying, you either can bring in the mindful moment and sort of catch the ego there, but also there's a divinity to letting the ego take over and
Right.
the experiences of that. And especially again, because of your three line and being an experimenter, being someone who's really meant to deeply learn through the sandbox of life and just being in it, your soul is giving you permission in a way to, quote unquote, like, go just like fuck it up. You know, it's part of the process. And
Right.
it's not actually fucking it up. It's how you collect this data And now through reflection, you have even more almost like visceral experiences to pin your awareness to now of, oh, that's why that was happening there. That's why this is happening here. And that's your learning. That's your accumulation of evolving and evolution. So it really just circles back up to a theme of keeping going and just being in imperfection and being however you are right now, because right now it can't be anything other than perfect, right? It's giving you what you need. It's
Right.
giving you a lesson. It's giving you a challenge, or it's giving you a triumph. It's all going to be perfect. And we see that when we just let ourselves go and act from whatever state we're at. And then later we refine, or we have the revelation based on what the past experience was.
Yes, exactly. And that's where like the calmness and the compassion has come into my journey because I'm recognizing the divinity of walking up the spiral staircase. And something that I love to share with people is just let some things be a journey in your life and don't have this pressure on yourself. Don't put this pressure on yourself to have something aced because maybe you see it in reflected in other people, but their soul journey is something different. And
Mm.
I think that's really beautiful. So, just my final reminder for you guys that I'm picking up on in my own life is when you are stepping into an expansion period, it is just so important to be super gentle on yourself and present with the soul and really nurturing it in a way that allows you to expand and also be really present and nurturing with your ego because that can very quickly go into the front seat and start driving in a direction where you're like, wait, what? We were going that way. So I'll leave that there.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah, I think that's going to be extremely helpful. It's just really beautiful to always have a reminder of the path unfolding. I mean, it's really so much of what we talk about is we're really explaining like the nuances of how the path unfolds, what it feels like, the different ways it unfolds for people, how you're going to learn, how you're going to grow. And it's really all laddering up to a theme of just be and do and go for it and
Hmm.
just freaking let yourself be exactly as you are and accept that as you are right now, as perfect as it is.
Amen.
Beautiful. Okay, so the personal story revelation transformation that I'm going to share, I'm really excited because it ties in so many powerful themes, reminders, lessons, and it also just gives you, I mean, this is kind of the point of this episode too. It just gives you a look into my personal process, what a process can look like, aspects of what it looks like to be approaching life and business and your beliefs and your relationship to all of those things through an aware lens, and when you have these different tools in your tool belt. So I shared this with Nikki the other day, and it was just really beautiful to be sitting in a place where a lot of the themes that Nikki just shared, where you are picking up this data from versions of you that were kind of out of alignment, but arguably you're always in alignment because it's always part of the path. So essentially, I've been feeling this massive shift in my consciousness and how I think about abundance, prosperity, and how I run my business and my life. And for me and my business, it's really connected to my creative expression and the way that I set my life up to be a blank canvas for whatever my soul wants to do. And essentially, over the past couple weeks, I started to have some frustrations bubble up. And whenever frustration bubbles, I'm like, okay, this is good because the not self theme as a generator is frustration. And so you just kind of almost start to get, yes, you're feeling frustrated, but you also know that a change is coming because the sign is there, right? That the not self is sort of taking over. And this was happening through certain little triggers coming up for me and noticing the patterns and stories in my mind that were coming up around abundance, prosperity, success, and just like, yeah, the sort of world of quote unquote success and how that was feeling, the process, the result. And I noticed it because one, there was kind of a subtle like, this isn't really super aligned and perfect in terms of my certain like business structures and offers. And I share this because the number one theme here is you're always moving and grooving at whatever perfect amount of clarity that you have. So I fully was standing behind, I was creating and making videos and selling my offers and doing all the things that I do in my business, even though it wasn't in my mind perfect. I knew it wasn't perfect yet. But this first core mindset and sort of foundation is you just keep going and work with what you got. You work with whatever amount of clarity, whatever amount of belief or iteration of how good something is, you just work with it because that is what lets the life force continue to play and to run, and to be out in the canvas of your life. So things were feeling pretty good, but there was a little voice that was like, this isn't like quite yet the thing. And then I kind of was experiencing these triggers where seeing somebody else experience either a version of what I would call like success or experiencing a completion of a goal, let's call it. Someone else experiences something and you feel jealous, or you start to have a story in your mind that they are able to do it easily and you're not. And I started to notice this story in my mind that I was believing that things are just harder for me. And this is a huge shadow of number one, kind of the conditioning of having what I would just call like a hard worker ethic or hard worker personality, that there's a clear positive adaptation to that, but there's a huge shadow side where you're operating in a reality where things only happen and you only experience abundance or you only get results when you're quote unquote working hard and doing a thing. And it takes away, it puts weight off of the energetics or the beingness or even just the trust of your overall path and how it unfolds. So I noticed this story and it came up a few times and I was like, okay, I think this is time to look at this because it's causing me suffering and frustration to tell myself it's just harder for me, or oh, woe is me. They just have it easier. I just need to go muscle my way over here. And I knew that this was something I developed in younger years because of specific memories around standardized testing and how I had an ACT tutor and I spent weeks studying for the ACT. And then my best friend didn't study at all. We went to the same day and time and she did so much better than me. And I was like, God fucking damn it. I put in all this work and I interpreted it as meaning, okay, well, I just have to work harder at this. And at the time, right, it wasn't like super conscious. It was a subconscious belief that started to form in a story in a world around me. And for a long time it served me, right? Or at least it was running in the background and got me to where I am. And that's where it was this sort of like enjoyment of the quote unquote hustle and studying and staying up late to study for a test. And like I truly enjoyed it. It was beautiful. And now where I'm at in my business, and this is what Nikki was saying, where you start to evolve to a point where the old ego stories and beliefs, they can't really come with you and they start to really be a huge contrast to the level that you're either in or that you're calling in. So when you have, for me, having a goal of expanding business, expanding abundance, the experience of abundance, the income, the clients, the impact, all of that, that is going to perfectly juxtapose with whatever is running in the background or whatever belief or whatever even like setup in life that just is not going to come with you. It's not going to work. So you start to feel the push pull of that. So in this coming up, I started to explore this story that I knew was a lie, that things are just harder for me or other people just have it easier. And therefore, it means whatever I have to this. It's just causing a discomfort and a suffering. So with that, I always have these tools in my pocket where I'm either getting curious just on a surface level of, okay, what am I making this mean about me? Is this something I want to be living with? If I don't, what would the opposite of this look like? Part of this came in a huge revelation around trusting my path, trusting the timeline, not viewing my timeline as linear all the time and viewing it as more of this morphing thing, this like planetary situation where things are orbiting me. So there was a relief in trusting my path, and that just because someone else is seeing a result at this point in time doesn't negate the possibility that my quote unquote result is coming, so to speak. So from there, I always get really curious about what am I truly meant to experience, given that this current reality or this current belief is clearly causing suffering. And I tend to turn to my human design and my gene keys. And as it would be, very serendipitously and synchronistically, I was already being called to deep dive the gene keys and to really go in on this technology, this system of awareness and self discovery. And in the time before leading up to this big revelation, I was starting to get really huge downloads about what the gene keys are and these archetypes of reality and things that I'll share at another time. But I was warming up this newfound understanding of how our souls and our bodies truly have the coding to feel infinite. It's in there and they're inextricably linked. So I was following the gene keys rabbit hole. And one night, late night, I was on YouTube. And of course, the algorithm is perfectly tuned to whatever you need in that moment. So you see a video, and I dove into the prosperity sequence of gene keys, which is called the Pearl sequence. And you don't need to understand like what I'm referencing here to get the point. I'm just giving you the details in case you're curious and you're also into gene keys and you want to follow that rabbit hole. But I looked into something called the Pearl sequence, which has to do with how you experience prosperity depending on your gifts. And I was listening, and the things that Richard Rudd was saying, they were really speaking to me because he was explaining these different ways that we're each tuned to experience prosperity, to kind of, it's very like modern day business oriented, where how are you meant to serve? Is it more entrepreneurial? How do you get opportunities, right? Like, what's the work that you're doing, the job, the vocation? So I'm in this world and I'm starting to put together, okay, my vocation, how I'm supposed to serve. It's very simple. It's like this. And I basically, through understanding and putting together the puzzle piece of this sequence, and at the same time, my own trust of the downloads I'm getting, I'm feeding some of this information into Chat GPT, which is always a fun way to get, extra little information that you don't have on your own. And I start to see that the way that I'm meant to experience prosperity is meant to be very simple, in that the business structure is essentially, I would just describe as like pretty chill in its like mechanics. That means just don't overcomplicate things, make it simple. That first piece really hit me because this is where I want to tie in a theme of, when you're ready to experience the next level of alignment, because when that blueprint aspect, for example, is revealed to you, or your intuition tells you like a new idea about how you want to run your business, you feel it in your body, where it's like your whole body softens but also lights up at the same
Mm.
time. And it's literally reveals a new line of code of how you're meant to be. And now that you see the code and understand it, you get to render reality according to that code. And it's like you awaken that potential for you. And long story short, because I feel like I'm making this really long, is I unlocked a new understanding that I think can be universal for anybody, really, but it's hitting for me because of these tools that I feel and understand how coded into my vessel that this is why it feels so good. That abundance and prosperity for me can happen very simply and through just being and sharing my energy. And through workshopping these things and adding, what's it called? Kind of integrating them into my business, it was noticing, okay, this type of offer is going to all of a sudden feel better. And I now have the knowing that it's going to work, it's going to feel good, and it's going to bring me prosperity because of the feeling it gives me, and because it's in my soul blueprint. And I live in a world where when I do what my soul wants me to do, like there's literally nothing I can't do. And so by integrating these pieces into my business and saying, okay, now I want to get back into YouTube and I want to just create these videos where I'm downloading information and I'm sharing it in a very loose way and just being myself. And it started to open this reality for me. And this is where my ego had a big dissolution. And this was very uncomfortable at first, because a really big part of my identity and my whole world was like, work fucking hard to a degree where you're actually making yourself suffer because you think you're never doing enough. And it's not like I was in this all the time. It's not like it was there 100% of the time, but that story was there running in certain places and it would come up in these triggers of when somebody else experiences success. Oh, it's just harder for me. And clearly that was not it anymore. It was because I was primed for a revelation. And this is what I want to share about abundance. And I'll kind of wrap it up. Is there truly is no right or wrong one specific way for all of us, for each of us to experience abundance or success or whatever feels good. There are so many freaking pathways, and you will find your groove when you just trust and you just take a step every day. And even if it's not perfect, even if you have doubt, even if the business plan isn't super tight, even if your coaching offer, you're like, I don't really know if this is good, but I just want to serve people and I want to do this. I'm going to fucking do it. When you do that, you are building up this belief and this resilience that then when you do click into a place a little bit more, it is just bonkers the feeling that it gives you and the inspiration that comes from there and the new idea and the YouTube and the thing and the update to your website and then this and then you're speaking all of a sudden with even more belief because I let myself just do it very imperfectly. Even if I didn't know if this was correct, I was like, fuck it. I have this clarity now. I'm going to go and do it. It must be all that I need. So the takeaway here is to really trust that you are being provided with, you're being shown, have the correct beliefs, the whatever it is that is in your reality right now is literally all you need. It's all you ever need at every single moment. But what that means is you can go ahead and do the thing, start the project, go to the place, move to the city. You do not need to have it all figured out. And I love reinforcing this for people because it's like we think that we have to wait to have this person over here says you have to have these fucking 5 things about business to be able to experience success. And it's like, yes, those are probably correct for them or in general, but you right now have everything you need to get started, or else you wouldn't be having the idea or the clarity or the vision or the pull. So keeping going in and of itself is healing. It gives you all of the data that you need to then evolve when it's time. Anyway, I'm going to stop because I feel like I've been talking forever.
I mean, this is fucking massive. It just like when I hear you speak about this, it's such a clear sign that your consciousness is evolving to this level of now you're able to unleash those codes and to live in alignment with that higher truth. And it's so interesting to think about how like the working hard mentality would work for someone whose consciousness was at that level of feeling good when they're working hard to achieve a result. And
Right.
because of all the work you do on your consciousness, the breath work, the meditation, just the way you interact with life, you're now evolving your consciousness to a place where that code doesn't match anymore. Like,
Right.
you experienced the success with that. You launched the coaching offers and had all the and then you outgrew that program.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
are now at this place where you're now instilling the new code. And it is so
Yeah.
powerful to see that you went into your gene keys and literally in perfect timing, it just pops up. Can you like talk more about that? Because I feel like this is where gene keys and human design becomes such an important tool. And it's a way that you and I both use it. And you definitely use it to a certain, like a deeper level with this. But this
Yeah.
process of like, you have your soul evolution, but then you're turning to this tool. How does someone go about knowing where to even start? Like, I know you are open to receiving the guidance from, let's say, the YouTube algorithm just brought you that video and you have that intention set. You've almost instilled this program of when I'm navigating an expansion, I receive the perfect information that coincides with the gene keys information and what I'm experiencing. But what can someone do to start tying in this tool into their life?
Yeah. Okay. So first I forget what the original first question was, but there was something in there that I wanted to address. And part of what makes the gene keys piece so expansive, and for anyone that doesn't know, Gene Keys was essentially born out of human design, and it went deeper into the 64 gifts, which in your human design profile, you see all those numbers of like 13, 44, 54, whatever. Those are the gifts. And it's the same, based on the same system of the I Ching, which is these 64 universal archetypes. And the Gene Keys is essentially the deep dive of all the gifts. And it has a system in it of 3 different frequencies of gifts that allows you to essentially evolve higher and higher into quote unquote better expressions of your gifts. So the reason this is helpful is because using myself as an example, and then I'll share how to like really find your way into this, which I think might come out in this personal example. But your gifts all have a shadow. So, for example, I know that a shadow I'm meant to experience and clearly was experiencing like for much of my life up until now, and I will probably still experience it, is shadows associated with my gifts. And some of those shadows are struggle, are around ambition, and the shadow being like greed and it's never enough, and like blind, sort of just doing just to ascend on a ladder. And because I know that those shadows are there, the whole foundation of Gene Keys is that really all of the expressions are important and you don't get to the highest expression without the shadow. So, like you said, the the shadow side of hard work and of struggling to succeed, of being in a struggle state of figuring it out, that was serving me for a long time, like truly serving me because I was like truly happy and loving it, right? And then, like you said, you evolve and you just are ready for a different frequency of it. So, really, there's almost a same core essence that's still going to be there of the aspiration or the perseverance energy. And when you see the shadow, you automatically then you know what the gift frequency is. And the highest frequency is the Siddic, Siddhic. And it just gives you this very concrete way to understand yourself and therefore give so much acceptance and compassion to whatever you're experiencing. So the way that I use it is I'm building up this knowledge of, I have some of it that just lives in me of I know my top gifts and I know some of their shadows, but there's also elements that I just intuitively will let my life bring me to the next one. So what I would say, tell someone to do is I would start by very simply pull your Gene Keys profile from genekeys.com. You can do a free profile. It tells you the 4 biggest ones. And then you'll notice there's this sequence looking thing with a bunch of circles in it, and there's different sequences in it. I didn't even know actually that there was different sequences for a long time. And I would start, and this is where you just let your curiosity be the starting point. So you see a gift and it's called da 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 da, and you're like, it's interesting. The gift of conflict. What is that? And just start to read it and start to see what's there. If that piques your interest, the world's your oyster because there's so much information out there. You can buy the Gene Keys book. You can ask ChatGPT. You can Google it. You can YouTube it. You can get a human design reading. Okay. And just dive in anywhere and let the curiosity guide you because your awareness and your consciousness is going to bring you perfectly to what you're meant to explore. There's no coincidences. From there, you're just going to start noticing that you're adding language and almost a new system to understand your life through. So when you then experience something in your life that feels uncomfortable or sticky or a story is coming up, you can have in the back of your mind or really in the forefront, which is kind of how it is for me. Oh, I know that there's this shadow of this, and I wonder if it's related. And from there, you just continue to explore it either through reading or through contemplation, which is really Richard Rudd's like number one process of all of this is through contemplation, which he has an actual laid out process of like a book that explains what contemplation is. But it is really just this gentle, ever evolving, active meditation on your life and on how you feel. So then you start to expose the higher expression of what you're meant to experience in this life. So I would start with literally just look up your profile or buy the Gene Keys book, go on YouTube, start watching some videos. And the key is to just trust where your curiosity guides you because it's always going to be the perfect thing to tie together. And you just really let it evolve. It's not a system that's meant to be understood in one night. Like I learned about my Gene Keys, I think 3 years ago. And at that point, I read all the things and it hit in a certain way. 3 weeks later, I read it differently. 2 years later, I read it and it hit differently. Today, I'm right. It's like it's a lifelong thing. It's because these are archetypes that are 64 archetypes that span the entire nature of the universe. They're very complex, and you are here carrying a certain number of them that they are meant to evolve. So it's not overnight. It's a very lifelong, gentle, and sometimes it comes with like huge flashes of insight. But yeah, does that sound like tangible and
Yeah,
make
for
sense?
sure. For sure. It's just been life changing to have you in my life. I sent Bella a text the other day just reflecting on holy crap, I've learned so much about myself through this process that she just described. And yeah, just speaking to you, like, thank you so much for being such a an authority of human design in my life because it has literally shaped me in such profound ways. And just hearing your own story of how it is you incorporate it into your healing is so expansive for me. So I selfishly wanted to hear your answer to that too, just so I can pick up my own little nuggets and incorporate that into my life because I'm always just so impressed with how you're able to quickly spot these like little points of suffering or little shadows that pop up and you transmute them in a way that is so powerful because you're not only letting go and releasing but you're also learning more about your design and how energy is meant to flow through you, and it's this constant ebb and flow, higher expression, shadow expression that allows you to just constantly learn more about who you are as a being and the design that you hold. And it's just profound, truly. And I think it's so beautiful that we now get to tie this into every container that we hold together, where we're teaching beings how to incorporate this into their own life because it is truly fucking life changing. Truly.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I really fully receive that. And I just want to express and send the love right back because first of all, this is why I love we know between the two of us that we're obsessed with like our own world and the conversations that we have because what like everything we're talking about here and so much of what I just shared is all of this wisdom and profound awareness that I've learned from you around how to you're it's like this ability to always look and see the meaning, the belief, the thing your ego is doing. And also in there, it's like a sacred reverence for the emotions coming up, the triggers, like all like this is a way of being that this is what I'm obsessed with of how we bring this together.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to reflect this back to you too of this is the beauty. And for the listener, we share these stories because when you listen to Nikki, you are hearing this way of being that is giving you the tools and the ability, the mindsets, the little like hacks and ways of relating to life that produce profound changes.
Mm.
And we are just two like testimonials and proof of A, each other's genius, right? Of giving to each other, and B, what life can be like when you really embrace the path and the life as your curriculum and you bring into it all the modalities and things that me and you so stand behind and reflect to each other. And because we've both been open-hearted and open-minded enough to learn from each other,
Yeah.
we expand and grow. And it's just freaking beautiful because then it comes together in this insane way that you just feel like a master of life and you're in total flow state with life. And I just want people to know as you listen, guys, like this is why we do what we do. And these conversations that we share, the modalities, the little nuggets, like you guys know this, but it's just worth repeating to always open your mind and heart to there's just something out there. I think what's coming through is just it's like we have every tool within us that we need to remember our power. And what me and you are doing is just vocalizing the existence of those things.
Mm.
And the more that we own them, that's when like you are fully in that genius and you're teaching me about things that come naturally to you, or things that you've learned and adapted to, or not adapted to, like, I don't know the word I'm looking for, that you've just like learned through experience and you've become a master of, and I'm doing the same thing. This is why it's just like you get to learn so much from people and from life itself. And there's an open heartedness and like a humbleness that allows us to really experience life to a new level when we let people help us and we let ourselves be open to the tools that are out there.
I'm just having a moment of reflection of just how, just hearing the words that you're sharing of how beautiful it is that we have each other as the mirrors to reflect the gifts that we hold. Because
Yeah.
as I stare at you, I'm like, wow, she's so fucking amazing at teaching people how to unleash their creative genius, human design, fucking intuition, like action taking and dealing with that doubt and that fear, like all of these things that make up the whole like ecosystem of who you are as a being has been this journey that you have been on, but I've also been able to benefit from them. So now it's like you have me as a mirror and almost like a walking testimonial for your gifts. I'm like, here I am. And it's just so beautiful that
Yeah.
we do that for each other. And I'm just having this moment of like, holy fuck, I can't even imagine, like, just if you look at the actual happenings under the surface of us mirroring to each other the gifts that we hold and how sacred our fucking friendship is.
Yeah. Well, also, what you're talking about is this is why we, like the big collective me, like literally me and you and we, the whole world, needs everyone's gifts
Yeah.
because that is what we're doing here. Like when Nikki owns her gift, the Omis can go on. We go on and on about each other, how each other has expanded our own lives. And you listening, you have a gift and you have something that you're meant to
Yes.
give out. And people, not only do they want it, they fucking need it. And
Yes.
this is the world this is the new paradigm. It's like owning our gifts and sharing our abilities, because then it also frees up all this space and all the shoulds. Like so many shoulds and societal things are going to melt away because people are just going to be in so much alignment that they stop wasting energy trying to convince other people to be like them.
Right.
That's like a huge cause of just old paradigm, like, predetermined paths. It's like everyone has to be this way. No, we don't care anymore because everyone has a gift. And what Nikki and I are experiencing is not actually special. Everybody has
Right.
this. And this is why honoring your gifts and listening to what is in there is truly the cure to all. Like what you are desiring is inside of you.
Mm,
And when you share that, it's a fucking gift for a reason. Like people want to receive it.
right. And I want to add here too that having shadows doesn't take away the gifts.
Yeah, it literally is the proof that the gift is there.
Right.
It's literally the proof. Yeah. You can't have one without the other.
Yes. And that's why I think conversations like this are so beautiful, because then it gives the Omis permission to look at the things that we're still learning and navigating on our path. But then also, it doesn't take away from how fucking gifted we are at all these beautiful things that we give to the collective. And it's just such a beautiful, like, release. I want you guys to feel that when you're listening. You have these gifts, but also there are aspects of your 3D self that is still navigating the expression of that. And sometimes it comes out as a shadow, and that's still an expression of the gift, just with a
Yeah.
different energy behind it. And it's not wrong, right, up, down, black, white. It just is. Just is. Like you
Mhm.
literally get to pick your own meaning of that.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that feels like a huge theme of what we both shared today is whatever frequency expression you find yourself at right now, it is perfect. It just is. It there's no meaning until we ascribe one.
Right.
And the game here is to make meanings that support us and see us as these beautiful beings on a hero's journey, and that the challenges and shadows are incredible. And that right there is a huge life-changing shift that will automatically unkink your host from blocking life force.
Yeah. I love that. Even just for me, I just felt a big exhale in that. It's so freeing, truly.
Yeah. So come to our live event because it's going
We
to be
didn't even get to
freaking
share two each.
epic. Oh, that was my only one.
Oh,
Did you had more?
I don't know. At the
You want
beginning,
to share another one?
I told the Omis that we would say two each, but we are over time, so we'll stop
There
at
was a
one
lot
each.
in there. Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, Guys, thank you so much. Let us know what you thought and check out this live event. It's happening on Thursday, March 27th. It's going to be freaking epic. And so much of what we talked about today is you're going to see some things weaved in there. And a lot of what we talk about is in this episode, I mean, is hinting at this clarity and this ability to see what the next step is. So if you have been craving clarity and you want to know what your soul's next step is, what that perfect thing that is unfolding in your life, you're going to receive that at this event. It's free. You can sign up in the link below. And we're also going to do a big reveal of what we've been working on, as Nikki said. And we would just love to party with you and see you there.
Yes, it's going to be a party. Love it.
Amazing. Okay. We love you so much. Anything else to say?
Nope. Slay the day.
Okay. Slay. All right. Bye.
Bye.